New details out after famed Hollywood director and actor Rob Reiner and his wife Michele were found dead in their home. LA police have arrested one of the couple's sons in connection with the killings. Our chief correspondent Jonathan Hunt is live out of Brentwood for us. He's got more on all of this. Jonathan, what more can you tell us?
Well, Sandra, within hours of the bodies of Rob Reiner and his wife Michele being discovered here at their Brentwood home, we were getting word of the potential involvement of their 32-year-old son, Nick Reiner. And this morning, we got confirmation that he has indeed been arrested in the early hours of this morning, we believe, and is being held on $4 million bond. You can see Nick Reiner in this family photo that was just taken a few months ago in September. He is the young man with the shaved head in that picture. Now, the LAPD said very little yesterday as they began their investigation, but the police chief confirmed this morning that Nick Reiner had indeed been arrested. Listen here.
We have our robbery homicide division handling the investigation. They worked throughout the night on this case and were able to take into custody Nick Reiner, a suspect in this case. He was subsequently booked for murder and is being held on $4 million bail.
Now, police were initially called out to this Brentwood home at around 3:40 yesterday. As we understand it, one of the couple's daughters discovered their parents here, and it was a pretty grisly scene as we understand it. Both apparently stabbed to death. Now, Rob Reiner, of course, was a beloved figure in Hollywood, famed for a whole string of hit movies, including Sleepless, including When Harry Met Sally, The Princess Bride, and, of course, A Few Good Men. He's been paid tribute to by a slew of political and Hollywood figures, thanks to his activism as well. Maria Shriver, the journalist and former First Lady of California, saying, quote, "I'm devastated, gutted, shocked, stunned, and so deeply saddened, as are all of the people who loved them and who they loved. I hope people remember them as two deeply talented, kind, fun, loving, good, patriotic people who loved each other deeply." And Sandra, our corporate cousins at TMZ are reporting that Rob and Michele Reiner, along with their son Nick, attended a holiday party at the home of Conan O'Brien on Saturday night, and that the three of them were heard arguing very loudly. Now, if that plays in any way to the tragic events that unfolded here on Sunday afternoon, we do not know at this point. We hope that we will hear more from the Los Angeles Police Department later today. Sandra?
Wow. Jonathan Hunt with the very latest on all of that for us. Thank you, John.
All right, Sandra, let's bring in Mary Ellen O'Toole, former FBI special agent and profiler. You know, when we first heard of the deaths, we thought, oh my God, was it a robbery? Was it some sort of break and enter? And then to hear that the son, Neil, is the suspect in this horrific murder just defies all logic, at least as far as we could see from the outside. What are you thinking about all this?
Well, when it was first reported as a profiler, what you do, you look at, obviously not having access to all the files, but you look at the victimology and you look at the neighborhood. And I think it was almost immediately reported that there was no forced entry and there was no forced exit. And that neighborhood has a low crime rate compared to certainly other areas of Los Angeles. So when you see even those two factors, it certainly can suggest that who's ever responsible had access to that house or was voluntarily allowed into that home by one of the victims. So that's the first thing that struck me.
You know, TMZ, which is one of the Fox Corporation properties, was reporting that their throats were cut. You know, killing someone with a gun is one thing. I mean, you can do it at a distance, but when you kill someone with a knife, whether you stab them or you cut their throats or whatever, that is just such an up-close and personal way to murder somebody. What does that tell you as a profiler?
It is. It's also a way to make sure that as the offender, that there's so much blood that's being produced from the injuries, it's very likely that your hand slipped down over the blade and you cut yourself, which means that you deposited your own blood at the crime scene. It also suggests that there was a fight because there would have been defensive injuries, more than likely, on both victims, again, causing the offender to leave his own blood, his own DNA at the crime scene. And that was immediately probably noticed by the homicide detectives that went there. And you also had family members who lived close by who were also providing information to the police so that they had reported information, and they probably also had that forensic information. And when they approached the son, he probably had injuries on him. So all of that collectively came together pretty quickly.
I mean, to stab your parents, if he indeed is the assailant, and this is the way it happened, to stab your parents to death requires such a fit of rage, I would imagine, that it's something that would have to have built up over time. And as Jonathan Hunt reported just a moment ago, TMZ is saying that the three of them, Michele and Rob and Nick, were at a party at Conan O'Brien's house, a holiday party the night before, and were heard engaged in a very loud argument. That would seem to suggest, Mary Ellen, that there was some bad blood that was brewing over some time.
I think you're right, and that's probably going to come out in the next couple of days. This doesn't just start the day before yesterday. So there was ongoing issues between them. And when I've seen cases like this in the past, oftentimes the family underestimates the potential of their loved one in terms of what they could do to them. But I think we're going to see the patterns begin to come to the surface over time, because that is a lot of anger, that's a lot of rage. It doesn't just start on the night of the attack.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how long it's been going on. I also want to ask you quickly, Mary Ellen, about this attack that was foiled. It was a plot that was targeting Los Angeles on New Year's Eve. 5 people arrested. Apparently there was another person who was arrested in New Orleans in an associated plot. This is what Bill Asaley, the U.S. attorney, said.
The defendants are all radical anti-government members of the Turtle Island Liberation Front, which, according to their own social media, is an anti-capitalist, anti-government movement that calls for their associates to rise up and fight back against capitalism. One of the leaders of the organization, defendant Audrey Carroll, helped organize an even more radical faction of the group called the Order of the Black Lotus.
Yeah, we should say 4 people arrested in Los Angeles, a 5th in New Orleans. What are you thinking about this group?
Well, here's the issue when you have multiple people, especially when you have younger people that will rely on social media, even though they think it's secure. People talk to one another, and people then go forward and they tell other people about it. And that's one of the contributors, I think, to what happened here. Now, the thing is, they just didn't talk about it, though. They actually engaged in actions which told the FBI and law enforcement that they were serious about carrying out these their efforts. So I think that's the point where the FBI, we're used to hearing a lot of things on the internet, but when we start seeing actions to indicate, I'm really going to do this, that escalates it. But again, 4 people together, it's very difficult to keep a secret.
Yeah, 3 women and a man. That would seem to harken back to the days of the 1960s and 70s radical groups. Mary Ellen, thanks for joining us. Thanks for your expertise. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.